Hey guys, today we're going to be checking out the Bulova Lunar Pilot. This is one of the more affordable moon watches. The cool thing about the Bulova is that it does have the recognition of actually being on the moon rather than other homages that don't get to carry that title. So we all know the Omega Speedmaster was the watch that was commissioned by NASA to the astronauts to wear on their spacewalks. But this Bulova, if you know the history of it, it's pretty cool. It was not supposed to be on the Apollo 17, I believe. Let's check this out. It actually says it on the case back. Sorry, Apollo 15. It was not supposed to be on the Apollo 15 mission, but it was worn anyways when one of the astronauts' Omegas actually broke, and this was worn in its place, and it survived the harsh conditions of the moon. And Bulova kind of ran with that, and they went ahead and they made some reproductions of this exact model. This is the 43 millimeter version. There was a 45 millimeter version that was one of the first editions of the recreation that they made, but there was a lot of I wouldn't say backlash, but there was a lot of people claiming that the watch was just too big to wear for most people with normal sized wrists, meaning the 6.5 to 7 inch range. Other people who have larger wrists can absolutely pull this watch off and it just looks fantastic, but this is the 43 millimeter, which is pretty much as big as I can possibly go with a 7-inch wrist. It has a lot going on in the dial, but it looks just fantastic. I have said to my friends in the past, this is one of the watches that I probably will never really get tired of. You can go through a lot of different watches that come and go in your collection, and I don't see this one leaving anytime soon. So with that being said, let's just dive into some of the specs and some of the things that I really like about it and some of the things I don't like about it. And if you're on the fence about buying this, maybe this video will help you try to make that decision. So at 43 millimeters, this is a fully polished stainless steel case. Mine's pretty beat up because I've worn it quite often throughout the last 2 years. The high polish is very, very beautiful. The bezel is raised. That's also a high polish. And I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but it's got a embossed signed Bulova crown with the tuning fork. So that's really cool. Gives it kind of a more identity, which I actually really like. Bulova is not trying to hide their name anywhere. As you can see, it's signed right here on this little saver right here, the strap saver. Ultimately, they're not trying to claim that they're Omega or that this is a Speedmaster. They are taking full accountability for this watch, which I really like. They're not trying to make it something that it's not. So this being a chronograph, it does have the pushers. It has the top pusher, which if you push it, it will start the chronograph up. That subdial moves really nicely. And the seconds hand moves also really nicely. But one thing I do love about this, it is a mecha quartz movement. So this is not a mechanical watch, for those of you wondering. And that's okay. The mecha quartz is extremely accurate, up to, I believe, 2 to 3 seconds per year is the deviation rate, which is just absolutely insane. If you wear any mechanical watches, you know that unless you go high end, you're not ever going to get that level of accuracy with any other watch. So you can go ahead, you can stop the chronograph by pushing that, and it will pause your movement right here. The second pusher you can push, and it will just send that seconds hand back to the 12-minute marker. And let me do that real quick one more time just so you can see how smooth this goes. So I'll stop it there and I'll send it back to the 12, and look at that, just so smooth. This Bulova does come with a AR coated sapphire crystal, which is really nice. I've used this watch more as a tool watch than anything, which some people might not agree with, but honestly, it's got, full stainless steel case. It's got a really thick, you can see here from the side profile, I mean, you can see that really thick sapphire crystal. And it's got 50 meters of water resistance, which is not ideal for, an everyday watch if you're wearing it, out if you're outside a lot. But honestly, 50 meters is going to get you by with splashes and maybe a brief submersion. But unless you're swimming with this watch will do just fine with everyday life. And honestly, I'm not, taking this out swimming in a pool or in the ocean or anything. It was made for timing things. It wasn't made for diving. It's obviously not a diver, as you guys know, but honestly, it can take a beating. As you can see, I have a lot of wear and tear on this case, a lot of scratches, a lot of nicks. And that's just part of wearing a watch. A lot of people like to keep their watches as pristine as possible and keep them in the box. But if I'm going to buy something, then I'm going to wear it. And I honestly think that the marks tell a story, and it shows that it's your watch. It's your personal companion through every day, which it'll show wear and tear. That's just what's going to happen. But this thing is held up really, really nicely. Going back into the specs of this watch, it is 43 millimeter diameter, which I said. I can go ahead and throw it on here in another frame just to kind of show you a reference of what it looks like on my wrist. It's not huge, but it definitely has a pretty major wrist presence, just because a lot of it is dial and a lot of it is that sapphire crystal, which reflects light, pretty well. The dial is beautiful. It has this kind of almost like a charcoal black matte finish on the main dial face. See if you can see this here. Yeah, it almost has, like I say, almost like a chalkboard look. And those subdials have, grooves in them, which reflect the light, kind of like a sunburst effect really, really well. And I don't know if you can see this really well. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to work here with what I got. But you can see the outside chapter ring is actually regressed into the dial. You can see there's a lot of depth there. The outside chapter ring also has that sunburst groove effect, which is really nice if you're really, really trying to, look at the details of this watch. Okay, so going to the back of this watch, this is actually the strap that mine came with in the box. It's a two-piece NATO strap, and it does really well of just looking like it's not something super fancy. This is something that you can wear with a lot of different things, in my opinion. If you take the NATO strap off and look at the back, it actually has a really, really cool engraving that kind of explains the history of this watch. So right here it says Apollo 15, July 26, 1971 to August 7th, 1971. And it actually has the exact coordinates where this watch was worn exactly on the moon, which is just something that I think is really, really neat. And it's a really cool conversation starter too, in my opinion. If somebody says, hey, that's a cool watch, be like, oh, well, check this out. And you're able to kind of explain the history of it. And the couple people that I've been able to do that with have seemed to really enjoy that really, interesting piece of history. So this is the watch on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, it's large. The lugs almost do overlap, but that's not something that's going to be a deal breaker. I mean, it's not like people are going to look at this and be like, oh, they're wearing a dinner plate on their wrist or anything like that. It's definitely, it's bulkier, it's larger, but it's cool in the sense that it is a tool watch. It is used to do things, or at least it was in the past. And I think if you're in a certain profession where you need a tool watch that's a little bit bigger and a little bit bulkier, that's all right. It'll work for sure. Real quick, just talking about the hands of this watch. These just have really simple baton style hands. The loom is okay. It's not the best. The hour markers are just raised indices, which actually look really, really nice. They have a almost silver metallic edge to them around the loom that look really, really nice in the light. But as far as the hands go, the loom is okay. It's, if it's pitch black and you've been wearing it outside all day, you will be able to see the time. It's definitely not in the realm of Seiko or any other, watches that are well known for their loom. And that's just one of the things that you have to be okay with this is, you're sacrificing the loom for, the really nice mecha quartz movement, the accuracy of it, and the history of it. So all in all, that's my quick little summary of the Bulova Lunar Pilot. I love this watch. I'm probably never going to get rid of it. It just has a really cool classiness, and just being a history buff, this is a really cool piece to have and a really nice conversation starter. If you're thinking about getting this watch, I would honestly say go for it. I mean, it's not a huge financial risk, and it's not like you're pouring thousands of dollars into it. And this is something that I honestly think you could probably pass down to, you know, your children or grandchildren one day. And I think that it's an heirloom piece, honestly, in my opinion. But if you're on the fence, it's ultimately up to you, but I'd say go for it. If you have large wrists, I'd say go for the 45 millimeter, which again, I don't think I mentioned the 45 millimeter version that they originally came out with came on a stainless steel bracelet, and the case was all brushed, which gave it more of like a futuristic spaceship look. I like that. I also really like the high polish of this. I think it catches the light really well. But I believe the high polish is only available in the 43 millimeter, which is going to fit most people. I think if Bulova ever came out with a 38 millimeter, that would be just absolutely perfect. I think that would fit this watch so well. But right now they're doing really well with this one. So if you're thinking about it, this is just my opinion on it. Those are some of the things that I've experienced. So yeah, just let me know in the comments what you think, if you're going to get one, and I appreciate it. Catch you later.